Transfer student experience.
The transfer student experience.
The transfer student experience.
The transfer student.
Okay, cool. I transferred from a small college called Copper Mountain. It's in Joshua Tree, California. It's like maybe 3 hours from here. And I studied psych there, but now I am a human bio major on their biomedical emphasis or track or whatever they call it. Initially, and when I was in high school, I wasn't really planning on going to college. I was planning on joining the military. After I graduated, I went back to Japan and stayed with my family for 4 or so months. And then I came back and I started working and I was like, well, maybe I guess I don't want to join the military. So I started working, and then summer of 2018, I started attending Copper Mountain, and my original goal was to either transfer to UC San Diego or UCLA. USC wasn't even in the picture in the beginning, but as time progressed and whatnot, it was my fall sophomore year 2019, where I went and picked up a family friend from USC, and I was looking around the campus. I was like, oh, this kind of seems nice. I like the atmosphere and the vibe of it all. So I thought about it, but I never really put too much thought into it because I didn't think about applying. But as the year rolled over and my spring semester started, I started thinking about USC again. And I started seeing these YouTube ads and whatnot and vlogs of USC students. And I started watching it. I was like, oh, maybe I really should just apply. So I applied literally the night before it was due. And then I didn't think much of it because I was like, oh, it's a long shot. I probably won't get in. So I put that off on the back burner and I got into all my other schools. And USC was the last school that I got accepted into. And it was 2 weeks before I had to make a decision. Do I want to go to UC San Diego or do I want to go to USC? What school do I want to go to? And I guess it just came down to a gut feeling that I knew that I wanted to go to USC. So I chose USC.
Well, I'm glad you made the right decision on coming to the dark side. It's interesting how some of the most successful applications were just done on a whim the night before, yeah, whatever, we'll do it. I think that's when people can be the most genuine. When they don't have a filter, when it's just yeah, whatever, we'll apply. I feel more of your genuine self comes across when you apply like that.
I think it's a really good point because I feel my other UC insight questions, I put so much time into it and it felt not fabricating necessarily, but making myself out to be, oh, pick me. But when I was writing my essays for USC, it's more like a conversation, I would say, and it felt completely different from my UC essays. And I think it shows if you would read my 2 essays. There's a clear difference in me being casual, me trying to formally present myself to the university.
Right. And I mean, look, admission officers know that, right? They know whether something's been polished or just not written by you, and something that does come from the heart and something that is genuine. And from people that look at thousands of applications a day, do you want to be the polished essay that sounds like everyone else, or do you want to have that unique voice? Mm-hmm. Are you able to tell me a little bit about what you've been doing to try and retain your sanity while being locked down? Any hobbies, sports that you've been doing?
I moved out here the 1st of August. For my 2 years of freshman and sophomore year, I've been working. But from May to literally July 31st, I've been working nonstop. Over 40 hours some weeks and just constantly working because I feel that's the only way that I could keep my sanity. And plus, I enjoy working. But ever since I moved out here, I haven't been able to find a job. So I just been basically doing my schoolwork and I guess trying to keep myself entertained by going out to places. I went to Malibu. I visited the Hollywood sign, the Disney concert hall, some of the things that I can do without being around a bunch of people. But I feel things are starting to run out. So I'm not really sure what else I'm going to do to keep myself entertained besides doing my schoolwork. I guess I can start a new hobby, pick up reading again or something. I don't know. Not really sure yet.
Nice. And where were you working before?
I was working at a fast food place in my town. I was a shift manager for the whole 2 years I was there. The fast pace and the adrenaline from it is what I'm craving now. I want to get back into the workflow kind of thing.
But I definitely understand that. I was a competitive swimmer. And so that was literally my life, 4 hours a day training. Hopefully that fast pace that you experience, you definitely miss it once it's gone. You're itching to do something with your time, What career goals are you sort of aiming towards? Is it working for a company? Is it starting your own business? What does that look like for you?
For myself, I'm aiming to be a surgeon. I want to be either a trauma surgeon or a cardiothoracic surgeon or be a medical professor at a medical school. Most of my time is spent making sure my GPA is good, of course, but also looking into other aspects of medicine and also contacting other doctors to shadow them or to get insight from them or seeing what I could do to not waste my time, I guess, during quarantine and actually be somewhat productive. Basically my end goal.
And so you said you were studying psych before. Are you still doing that now at USC?
No, I was planning on doing it, but like at the last minute I switched because psych doesn't really interest me as much anymore, I guess. Human bio, it lined up well with all the classes I've already taken at my CC, so I thought I'd make the switch because it appealed to my interests a bit more.
And so obviously knowing that you want to become a medical professional, I'm just wondering how you see USC classes sort of contributing to that goal.
I think the classes really do a good job, like especially like the med classes, the 2-unit classes that we have. I'm in one called like Intro to Clinics. I don't remember the exact term for it. It's called Med 220. It's ran by a doctor who has other guest speakers and other doctors basically talking to us about like their experience in the medical field, and they give a lot of resources as well. Same with the pre-med advising that they have. I think a lot of it is very comprehensive, and it really seems like they're very genuine about helping you and like progressing you forward, which I like because it's more like a one-on-one kind of thing to make it like more personable. So I don't feel like how other people would portray like pre-med culture, like super toxic. Oh, I'm going to sabotage this person. I'm going to sabotage this person, or the counselors don't really care about you. From what I've seen, I think they do care about you. I think it's more so of you having to actually reach out to them to help you, because they're not going to know you need help. You don't reach out.
I never realized how toxic it could be in the medical profession. How everyone's sort of, it's a dog eat dog world, you know, it's not very team minded. So no, I'm glad for you at least that the classroom is a little bit more collaborative and, like you said, one-on-one, a little bit more conversational as opposed to just sitting there and regurgitating information.
People are willing to help and like collaborate with each other instead of like, oh no, you have to do that on your own. I think that's the aspect I like most, because at my CC, a lot of people weren't willing to collaborate, and a lot of people were like, basically, oh, you got to do it on your own, or they'll try and help, but you end up doing the work yourself. There's no collaboration at all. Whereas here, I'm doing Zoom calls with like my other classmates and my lab partners, and like we're actually going over everything. And if someone doesn't understand something, we're taking the time to explain it to them.
That's the Trojan culture. It's very team based. You know, it's all about that network and helping each other out. What was the most difficult part for you transferring into USC?
During like my transfer process, I think I was a bit stressed all the time. During the time that I was applying, and then like during the time that I was like waiting to figure out stuff. For my college, we don't have an articulation agreement to like tell you what classes are going to transfer. So I think that's where a lot of my stress was, because like I didn't know, oh, what if this class doesn't transfer? What if this class doesn't transfer? Like, how am I supposed to know if my college doesn't have an articulation agreement like the other colleges do? So I had to do a lot of reaching out and like asking the admissions counselors and whatnot, trying to figure out what I could take that wouldn't necessarily put me back at USC, but it would help me move forward and not extend my stay there. Another thing that was difficult for me, I think, was trying to get my transcripts to campus. I sent my transcript maybe 5 times, I think, at least 4. And every single time, none of them would make it to the school. And I had no idea why my transcripts wouldn't make it to the school. Every single week I would call back and they would always tell me, no, we haven't gotten it. No, we haven't gotten it. No, we haven't gotten it. Every single time I picked up the phone to call them and to like check up on it, I always just felt anxiety like building up, like, oh my God, what if they don't get it and like my application just gets thrown out or something, or like they rescind my admission. I think those were like the most difficult things to transition, other than the fact that we're not on campus and I roll out of bed like 5 minutes before my class starts.
Who knows, maybe USC wanted to test how resilient you were. Maybe they were getting all the transcripts. They were just like, let's see how far we can push Julius, you know. What communication challenges are you facing? And what would you wish that a student organization like TSC could do better to help people like you who have just transferred in?
When I first joined the transfer group, a lot of us didn't understand like what was going on. I feel like USC was really quiet, didn't really tell us what to expect. I feel like we're just like tossed in there and everybody was just trying to figure it out and everybody was panicking. In regards to like now, I think they do a good job. I'm sure like everybody's up to date and whatnot, like all the emails. But at the same time, I feel like it comes across as if they don't know what they're doing either. That's how I see it, because like obviously we've never been in something like this before. I think it's just like lost in a sauce mentality, but I think they do a good job directing us and not making us panic. I think this transfer group, since I'm new to it, I've only skimmed over the email that you sent me. I looked at it and then I think it was really something I enjoyed, because I don't like reading super long emails. Straight to the point is what I really need, which I really appreciate too. Another thing is that I think from what I've seen so far, it's very sociable. So I don't really think there is anything that you could add to it that could like help, other than like, of course, giving advisement to like other students that might need it, or like a group me or something of the sort if there isn't one, if they can like just pop in questions. But I'm sure people would email if they had like a very serious question or like something that they're struggling with in regards to their classes, or like trying to petition something or something like that. I think they'd reach out and like ask, find resources through the organization if they email.
We talked obviously about you sharing your unique story to USC, writing it the night before, submitting it the day after. What did you feel made you stand out in the application? I guess maybe a better question would be, what is a point about yourself that you really tried to drive in the essays?
That's a good question. I feel as though perseverance is something that I try to drive. My freshman year, I was struggling because it's been a minute since I've taken classes, especially college level classes. I think it's been like almost 2 years since I graduated. It was really difficult because I was a new manager, basically. I was working all these hours and I was taking a heavy course load, and it shows in my GPA because my freshman year, I had to drop a class and I ended up getting not very good grades from it. And I basically tried to do my best to explain, like, I was in a new position. I've never experienced this before. And I felt basically overwhelmed from how many hours I was working and how much time I was putting into my other extracurriculars on top of my schoolwork. And then I explained that through time, I learned how to manage my time better. And I learned how to delegate things that would help me more in the future, more so than like in the moment. And then like over time, it showed in my transcripts that obviously I did learn something because there was a day and night flip in my fall 2018 semester versus my spring 2019 semester, which I think shows that I was willing to put in the work because I didn't drop any of my extracurriculars. I didn't drop my job or like cut my hours or anything. I kept pushing until I was able to basically feel my way around, get my feet on the ground. And then I think it showed in the essay that I am willing to work hard and I'm not going to give up despite like the things that I see. Because one of the things that always rings in my head that my friend told me, adversity is a word that's waiting to be overcome. And I saw that as like my adversity. I didn't let like myself mope around that I did so bad my first year, but I kept progressing to do better. And I think that's maybe what might have shined through because that's what I basically talk about the most in my essays.
Knowing what you know now, if you could go back in time and give a younger Julius some advice, what would you tell him?
I would definitely tell myself to not overwhelm myself. And I would tell myself to not be so hard-headed when other people are giving me advice. Because during the whole period, my friends would tell me, well, you should take classes that would transfer to other schools, not just the one school that you want to go to. What if you want to change your mind? And I quite literally did change my mind. And I ended up having to take 21 units my last semester at CC, trying to fit all the classes I need for USC. And the amount of all-nighters and all the energy drinks, I wish I could take that back because I was basically like a walking zombie for almost the entire semester. So that's definitely something I would take. Listen to other people when they're giving you solid advice. I think the best thing that I could say is to always keep pushing yourself because like in the moment it might seem it's basically dismal, but I can guarantee you if you keep pushing hard and grinding toward what you want, you'll get what you want. Just like how I did. In the beginning, it wasn't looking so good, but look where I am now.
Julius, thank you for taking the time with me. I really appreciate you sharing your life and how you sort of overcame those challenges. I think whoever's going to be listening to this is going to take it. So thank you.
The transfer student experience.
The transfer student
The transfer
experience.
student experience.